there's one more chair there. Yes, so a very warm official welcome now. I'm so happy to see you all. And a warm welcome to all the friends that are joining us here around the world. Slowly we're coming out of lockdown, so we can allow a few more people to join us. And it's beautiful to be with you. For the friends online, and of course for all of you here, there will eventually be a possibility to either comment or ask questions or share some reports or insights. And for the online friends, we have my dear friend Steve here, Prendas, and he will read your comments, so you can ask questions by typing them in.
And everyone here can ask questions too.
Everyone here can ask questions too, and when you are here, you can come and join me on the couch when you have something to say, when it gets a little bit more intimate. So it's an intense evening. It's like very close to full moon in Sagittarius. Who is Sagittarius here? Yeah, so we have 3 Sagittariuses here, and we can probably feel it, that the fire is burning
already.
Is that what's going on?
we are already shaking.
Like this.
Yeah. So if you feel in any way shaky and you think it's you, it's not you, it's just a wave moving around the planet that we are all plugged into. So we can tremble a little and shake a little and allow all that energy to flow.
Is there a volume on the mic?
Is there a volume on the mic? No, there's no volume on the mic. It should. Oh! Yes.
People say low volume.
Helps if you plug it in.
Yes. There is. Okay, there is a volume on the mic now. Please forgive me. It's the Sagittarius full moon. Now, I think in a moment we're going to just start the evening with silent sitting. Now, in a moment also, I'm kind of inspired by an online training for conscious living that I create videos from, and there's about 30 videos already done. It will hopefully come out in English too. In the moment it's only for the Japanese, with Japanese subtitles. But I'm in a topic right now around the heart, and so I want to invite you to experiment a little. There's this beautiful tantric meditation called, where Shiva talks to his beloved Devi. O beloved, as senses are absorbed in the heart, reach the center of the lotus. That's an incredible transmission. Like usually our senses are outward oriented, we go out, especially visually, we lose about 80% of our energy through the eyes out, and when you go shopping, even more. That's why you're so tired after shopping. Or listening, hearing. We usually go to the object, to the sound, when we hear a beautiful song or a terrible noise. Either we feel attracted to that outer sensory experience, or we feel rejection. And the same is, so seeing, hearing, the same is feeling. We externalize our feelings and make other situations outside of us or people outside of us responsible for how we feel. Does anybody does that? You make me feel? It's a lie. But most of us are kind of caught in that. And then even with food, tasting, smelling, it's like our habitual senses are outward oriented. And this meditation, as senses are absorbed in the heart, is an amazing possibility that we can explore any moment. And for example, right now, you're hearing my voice and maybe some other small sounds. And instead of going out to rahasya, that he's talking, or his voice, imagine the voice, the sound comes in. It's like your ears are the outermost frontier. And from there, everything moves inward. And you will find that as you listen from that space, which is actually the space of the heart, you naturally touch the silence behind sound. It's also very beautiful to explore this meditation with the visual aspect, no? As senses are absorbed in the heart, which means instead of looking out, which we usually do, you allow the whole vision field to be there at the same time. And you allow the landscape, the people, the things that your eyes touch, you allow that vision to come in. And you will discover that in that receptivity, something in us completely relaxes. And the object out there is not important anymore. It is our inner experience that is incredibly nourishing, because there's no more object. There is just the space of seeing, the space of the heart, where any of our visual experiences is absorbed in the heart, like in the Atisha Meditation. So visual, auditory, and then it becomes really interesting if, which is kind of many people have been missing, hugging. Anybody missed hugging during the COVID-19 social distancing? Why is that? Because a really good hug doesn't go out. The hug is received in the heart. The feeling sensation is received within. That is why it's so nourishing. When we go out in the feeling, we become needy. We want more. We want to grasp that person or dog or thing that makes us feel cozy, and we miss the nourishment of absorbing the sensation of our heart touching another heart. Does that make sense? That's why some people just have a gorgeous hug, and some people you want to escape. And the gorgeous hug is usually when the person is totally present and receives you. And you are present and receive the person, and it's so yummy. Oh. No? Does that make sense? And then with food, with taste and smell, it's the same thing. It's like whatever we absorb in the heart guides us to our true nature, guides us to the space in which it all happens. And that gets then very interesting for the scientists among us here, where if we really take that serious, maybe try that for a moment. Just touch the cushion or the seat where you're sitting on, and feel the touch. And we are actually from language. We're saying I'm touching the cushion or the seat, but actually I am being touched. And when I then ask you, well, where is the sensation, the feeling sensation happening? Is it in the cushion or in you? What would you say? It's in me, yeah. And that's, if we take that further, then where's the seeing happening? In the object that we see or in me? It's in me. Where's the hearing happening? In the sound that comes from outside or in me? It's in me. And that's intense because then the whole world is in me. The whole experiencing of everything is in me. Is that too fast? Can you follow that? It's so simple. No? So this me must be pure space. It cannot be a thing. And then we come to the conclusion that I am heart, or I am space. I am that in which everything that is possible in human expression is happening. Let's sit with that a little bit. And since here there is not so much auditory or sensory input when we are sitting in silence, let it take you, let every sense that somehow gets a little bit activated, let it become a doorway inwards. A doorway into this mystery that everyone is seeking, but it's already here. So we're going to sit for about 20 minutes. And there is, for the friends who are new to meditation, there's really nothing to do. It is just a space in which we can allow everything to be as it is. gently from the depths inside, from that deep silence, gently come back to the surface. Feel your body again, but somehow stay attentive to receiving the sensory experiences. As you move the body a little bit, you will feel it and you receive that sensation until you find a good moment to open your eyes. And when you open your eyes, also just allow whatever the eyes touch, let it come in. And then our whole experience is different. Now, today I want to dedicate the light of the candle to that doorway inwards. Somehow the whole world has been invited to go in, and there is a natural fear of everyone, or of many people, to go in, because when you really go deep, there is nothing anymore, and all our striving and all our attempts to be someone or to be something disappear in nothing. And when we look at this nothing from outside, it looks terribly empty. That's why we need to fill it with excitement, we need to fill it with action, we need to fill it with story, and we need to fill it with drama, and we need to fill it with old memories. And it's more juicy when we fill it with painful childhood memories. We can go endless there because we all have them. And I don't want to ridicule that, because there is a reality in it, but also it's also an outcome of the fear of our inner emptiness, until we actually dare to be that. And then we are suddenly everything. We're totally full. We are everything we ever have been asking for or wanting. It's all here. It's all held in the space that we are. So what shall that candle burn for today? Maybe you guys offer a dedication. Whatever you feel needs to come to light within, or is longing to merge and open to the world. What should that light burn for? 0. Path. Love.
Embracing the unknown.
Embracing the unknown.
How can I be of service?
How can I be of service? Humanity. Yeah. Relaxation.
Truth.
Truth. Do you notice that most of the words that you said don't point to an object? They point to a space. Truth ultimately is a space. Love is a space. Relaxation is a space. So, deep down we all know the truth. The tendency is just that we get pulled into things, 10,000 things. And that's not bad either, because all these 10,000 things happen also in space. So,
Can I just say, it just came very strongly to also offer the flame, the light, to, on the human level, equality and peace between all human beings.
equality and peace, yes, absolutely. So, everything you said, so be it. And equality and peace I think I talked about it in some other satsangs. It's like when we, but it's so strong in the moment, and what happens in the world, with these riots in America because black and white. It's very symbolic and significant, because our inner world since childhood is right and wrong, good and bad, high and low, trauma and bliss, and pain and pleasure. It's these polarities. Without them, there wouldn't be any life. Life flows between. But in religion and in the church, in our childhood education, we get fed with the mother's milk, the first swear words, right and wrong, good and bad, high and low, black and white. And if I look at myself, it's like for so many years I've been looking for the light, and I didn't want darkness. I wanted to kind of, work with all my traumas so that I never have to feel them anymore. No? Or go into all the stories that kind of were limiting, so that I am becoming unlimited. And then ultimately, for me it was always freedom, so that I don't feel unfree. And Osho kept talking about choiceless awareness. Then I wanted to be choicelessly aware, but of what? Yeah. Missing the whole point that choiceless awareness is already here every moment as that which is aware of everything. When you say, I'm in porco miseria, that's what they say in Italy, then porco miseria is held in space. I'm aware that I'm miserable. The only addition is that I want to get rid of it. I want to be happy. And then, it's even in the Constitution that It's a basic human right to be happy. But it's also a basic human right to be unhappy. And we get so trained to deny the darkness. And yet the darkness is so soothing when we don't deny it anymore. When we go in and we don't find light, we just find intense, deep, so-called hopeless blackness. And don't resist it. Then something else happens, and that points us to that which is beyond light and shadow, beyond good and bad, beyond happy and sad, beyond. And it includes everything. And it's funny, it's like these days when I listen or hear anything from Osho, he only talks about that. Do you have that? It's like with any teacher you have that shared some wisdom, you find exactly your own state reflected in whatever you hear or see. And it keeps changing. Even if you listen to the same truth, I perceive it totally fresh according to our own insights, our own discoveries, our own evolution, if you like. But then even we don't evolve, we devolve. I like that. It's like a deconstruction of all the misunderstandings and lies that we have believed, and then what is left? Just this moment. So I invite you, please say something. Comment, ask. Also the friends around the world, you can write and Steve will read it. And just so that it becomes a dialogue. I mean, you heard me talk enough, especially those of you who have been in Satsang a lot. I'm always saying the same thing. Osho was a master in that. He said the same thing in 600 books. It's always the same. Through different doorways of different portals of our personality, but it's always the same. So please, here in Japan or in Brazil or in Germany, ask something.
comment
Mm-hmm.
from Bolo Blatzner.
Bolo.
She says, maybe on the way it's easier to have some light.
Maybe on the way it's easier to have some light. That's true. Mm. Maybe on the way it's easier to have a friend who has already touched his deepest darkness, so that we can go there too. Maybe on the way it's easier to meet a friend that can take you by the hand and say, keep going. For me that was Osho, for all these years. And of course Osho had all these beautiful stories also from the Buddha. One of the things that Buddha said towards the end of this life again and again is Cheru Veti. Don't stop here. Don't rest on your, how you call that, Lorbeeren? Laurels. Don't rest on your laurels. Keep going. Keep going. Or the Heart Sutra, Gati Gati Parasam Gati Bodhisvaha. So keep going, and then it gets difficult because they tell you not, then you become the Buddha. But what is the Buddha? Nothing. And nobody wants nothing. So Osho made out of nothing something in the most incredible, wonderful ways. Ecstasy and enlightenment and bliss and cosmic orgasm, and I mean, what a compassion to dangle the cosmic carrot in front of us to keep going. At the time there was a very beautiful cartoon that somebody made where, Osho stands beside a very beautiful picture with very beautiful landscape, and the disciple runs and jumps into the picture, and behind the picture there is just an endless abyss. So he flows through the picture and no bottom. And our fear is, I don't know about you, but our fear is, if I really let go into that abyss, I will be dysfunctional, I will not be able to do my work, I will not be able to make money, I will not be functional anymore, and there is no energy for anything, and it's not exciting at all, and it's all kind of death. And that's not what it is. It's a very space from where all creation appears. It's a very space from where all the flowering of everything in the world, in nature, appears. It's a very space from where all the planets and galaxies and stars and everything appears. So our little death that we have, every night we die. Does anybody remember who you are when you sleep? You have maybe a new dream and there's a different entity, or you have no dream and then you're not there. But somehow you trust that you come back in the next morning, until one day you don't. Or then we maybe, if it's true, I don't know, we come back into a new body. But if we can relax enough to trust that when everything disappears, and this is somehow probably with age we get a little bit more trustful, something new appears. And the gap between the old and the new is so peaceful. So rejuvenating. With the fear of nothing happening. Anybody have that sometimes? The fear there's nothing happening.
I think it's more, I was going to put my hand up.
Come here.
Oh, but I have no makeup on.
You have no makeup on. Me neither. We both forgot our makeup. But you have lipstick on.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, always.
I don't.
So what came was this recognition that the death is to knowing. Or here, for this one, called Pavita, the death was absolutely about having to know. Because as soon as I don't know, I am actually nothing. I'm just here as spaciousness. But really this embracing of absolutely not knowing what's next. Fully not knowing. And in that there's like a shakiness at times, which could be described as a fear or a mistrust. And then it's like, hang on, if that's met in the heart and fully dissolved here, not knowing is actually really...
It's very nice. It's
so beautiful. And I wanted to say to Bolo, because I had that thing, for so much of my life I had this thing of, if only there was some light. I've been on this path with Osho and then Papaji and Muji for, it's more than 30 years. And the life that I was born into wasn't pleasant. A lot of abuse, a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. And all the way through on the journey of searching was this, please God, just give me a break. Give me some light. But the funny thing is that the moment I stopped wanting light and the moment I stopped wanting anything to be different and just said, okay, thank you, and this, it all disappears anyway into light.
Into
Endless,
whatever it is, whatever
spacious.
that is. Yeah.
So, but I think that not knowing is the key at the moment.
At the moment, for you definitely. And the
No
key,
certainty.
that key is intense because not knowing is what this moment is. No? This moment has never been known. The moment we know, it's already past.
Indeed.
So total presence is not knowing. And it is very sweet. It's like, we are, in the moment we are using words, so it's a kind of a, not really the truth, because we're kind of labeling not knowing, and then it cannot be labeled. It's the wow. No? Wow.
And I wonder I have a question arises, which you may be able to shed some light onto. Was that just now what arose was, in not knowing comes a sense of curiosity. But I wonder, the question that came was, is that curiosity also another trick of the mind to fill the space?
Yeah. The moment we are curious, we are stepping out of the moment into something to come. Yeah. It's not wrong, it's human.
Tricks to that mind.
Yeah.
It just comes in from every little angle just to find another way to fill up the gap.
But it's
space.
But it's also beautiful because we're all humans. I mean, if you try to be superhuman, or in Joe Dispenza's word, supernatural, to become, then we are in the becoming. And on the human level, the becoming is also okay. If we are sick, we want to become healthy. But eventually it's all gone anyway. So the curiosity is just a human
instinct.
Instinct, or the it's a condition, but it's also in a way exciting.
Yeah.
It's like the curiosity into the unknown. But yes, it is always a little bit of a step into the future.
Still like a next, isn't it? There's
it's a next. Yeah.
So what happens when there's absolutely no next?
Well, we do have moments, don't we?
I love you.
I love you too.
And I love you, and I love you. And you.
Yeah. You know, it's like I see this bubble, and you know, in that space we are like totally newborn kids. No? It may not feel so grown up, but you know, you see something, and suddenly the whole attention goes into the mystery of a bubble on a shawl.
Oh dear.
Mm.
Dear, oh dear.
And there's joy, because the joy doesn't come through the bubble, because it comes just from this moment of experiencing. And life is full of surprises always.
Indeed.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you, my darling.
Mwah.
There's a follow-up question for that one.
Yes, a follow-up.
The unknown.
Yeah.
Is our greatest fear, or is all of our fear really the fear of the unknown?
The question is our greatest fear, or all our fear, the fear of the unknown? I would say our greatest fear is the fear that the me that we cultivated for all these years in this lifetime and all these lifetimes before, that this cultivation of the me, of the ego, of the separate sense of self is dying. And this is why, you know, all the masters, at least the meditators, say meditation is the death before you die. Because what can really die? Let's face it. We already all, as we are sitting here, know that that which is aware of all experience is deathless. or are we in doubt there? That which is aware of all experience, this is kind of the awareness part. If for the feminine language is more that which is of love, has no beginning and no end, was never born, never died. Are you with me there, or is that too much for you? Like that which is aware is space. Does space have a beginning or an end? No. I am space, so I have no beginning and no end. That's huge. So what is afraid in me? It is the false sense of self that identifies itself with something that comes and goes, and that's why we freak out, because everything that has come in your life is also going. Or is there any doubt about it? Ultimately, it's a body. No? Body has come and it will go. Money will come and go. For some people, it doesn't come, but it still goes. And for some people, it comes in masses, but it doesn't change anything. It will go. No? Houses come and go, cars come and go, lovers come and go. I mean, right, Surati? Everything comes and goes. And that's the beauty, but that is also freaking out. Because when it comes, and we identify with it, the sense of self is augmented. Is that a word in English? It gets bigger. No? So more money, I am bigger. Bigger car, I am bigger. Bigger house, I am bigger.
And it solidifies, right? The identity is becomes solid.
And the identity becomes more and more, appears more and more solid. And then if you have the right girlfriend, she just finds that spot where you freak out, where you get triggered and your whole identity is, I'm not looking at anyone, your whole identity is shattered. Oh! So who is afraid? Here my brothers, dear men, what makes us so afraid of women?
You're not afraid of women, you're just afraid of the point where we're pointing you to, which is death.
That's right.
Ego. And we're relentless, even if we're unconscious, we're relentless.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Used to be emotions.
That is why, since ancient times, women are responsible for the man's enlightenment, because they just finish him. No? But that's the only fear. No? And of course the unknown is scary, because everything that ever existed as form or thing disappears into the unknown. No? But ultimately it's just, we are just afraid. The real fear is the fear of the death of the ego. And funny enough, we are all meditating and looking for that. Trembling. No? Tiptoeing. And then on the spiritual journey, we are so tricky. I am so tricky. Yeah? It's like then we have some realization and then we pick up another feather. Oh, look at me, I caught this much wisdom today. Can you see my feather? No? No? Oh, I got it. No? Oh, I know who I am. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. It's like first it's a worldly game and then it's a spiritual game, but it's all identification. And when you meet somebody who just freshly had an opening of his vision and saw reality as everything being one, I don't know about this person, but when that happened to me, my ego was ecstatic. It grabbed it immediately and said, look, I got it. which is, of course, there's nothing in your hand. No? Who got what? We always been that. No? So, and then you can do a lot of therapy and a lot of things to try and get rid of fear, and it's impossible because fear is just part of the human existence. And the end of fear is the total experience of fear and the willingness to embrace it and feel it. So courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is just the courage to experience the fear. Does that make sense? Who asked that, or who said that? You. Thank you. And a few days ago was the leaving the body day of my sweet Nura. And so the transition, also I got news that 3 close friends within a very short time in Germany just left to the other shore. And why? What is grief? I think grieving is a very important process when you lose a beloved one, but ultimately grief is you're losing a part of your own identity, because at least I was totally identified with Rahasya Nura, and suddenly half of it is missing. So, what are we grieving? It looks like we're grieving the poor person is dead, but we have no idea how blissful they are when they are not in the body anymore. Finally, I'm free. No? But it is so painful because a piece of me is missing. And this is why in the moment with COVID-19, if you're unaware enough, there is so much fear, because all the identity that we derive from our job, is it possible? I heard something that something like 13 million people are jobless. That's intense. No? Can you imagine the collective vibe, especially when we have identified with I am my job, or I am my role, or I am my position in the company, or I am whatever you are, and suddenly it disappears. It's not just the lack of money, it is a piece of me is missing. And that's where we are as meditators incredibly privileged. You sit down and you look for it. I'm not this, 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 I'm not this. What is left?
Rahasya.
Yeah. You want to come so that they can hear you now?
When I say something.
Yeah, okay, then say it from there. Just be loose and natural.
Can I address it?
Yeah, please.
Out the front, I will come out the front.
No, it's however you feel more comfortable.
I'll come out the front.
Okay, good. Another death.
You're such a tease. The big mindfulness conference summit that's coming out of America since Thursday has some of the leading lights. And there are some words that are coming up again and again. We have a choice in what's unfolding in the world, of course, and there are a few options. One of the keynote speaker mentioned, one of them is just to collapse at this end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum, he used the word transformation, and he said, that's where you need to be. So that's the first comment I make, and I'd love you to, if you would, let me know how your take on how you see that transformation happening in such a difficult world. The second proposition was clear to me, was that the new normal that we all need to get used to will see as a backdrop in our lives an anxiety. That word fear was used by you before, and it'll see those things coming into play more often. So I guess we need to address that in our lives as we move forward. I noticed that all the speakers came back to one word again and again and again as being possibly the critical word that we need in moving forward, and it starts with C. Can you imagine what that is? Compassion.
Compassion. Love.
I could say more about what this... I'll send you the link because it really is quite extraordinary. He's collected the best of the best, this guy. But there are three things that have come out of that the first day, and the second day is tomorrow. For what it's worth. And I guess stripping that away, if you have any pointers or your take on how you see that word transformation, I'd hope that anyone listening to this tonight, or listening to the summit in cyberspace, doesn't say, oh well, hang on a minute, I'm just going to collapse. I'm hoping that we all meet the challenge.
For me, transformation is only, it's like only transformation can only happen here, and here is the world. No? So you remember the Atisha Meditation. For example, the Atisha Meditation is a practice that actually copies the phenomenon of transformation. It is still a practice, so it's not the real thing. Transformation happens in the total let go of any strategies, of any techniques, of any practices. But the practices can help. The practices can point us. For example, in the Atisha Meditation, when you absorb all your suffering, let's say fear. Fear is a big suffering for everyone. When you really dare to absorb all your fear, and you don't go for resistance, you don't go for getting rid of, many New Age techniques tell you breathe out suffering and you breathe in light. That's a big misunderstanding. It's like when you breathe in, when you absorb your fear and you don't reject it, then I shouldn't continue to speak, because otherwise you create a belief out of it. But yet, since it's a practice, when you absorb your fear and you let it flow through the heart and dissolve in the inner sky, it looks like a sequential happening, but it's an immediate happening where fear is held in space, because I am space. Then it's no more fear, it is compassion. It gives rise to a feeling of love and compassion. And that you breathe out, that you give back to the world. But it's an internal alchemy, it's an internal process, it's transformation. The form of how it looked before changes in how it looks now. It looked like fear, and now it's love. It's the same thing. Now we can easily make a strategy out of it, and then it's just a carbon copy of the real thing. But it's a good beginning. So you can, or for example, jealousy, or what are we suffering from? Give me a few examples. I mean, jealousy is a good one. Anger, if you suffer from anger. So if your first thing is you become aware of anger, often when we become aware of anger, we don't want it because we'd heard it's bad, so something is wrong with me. When you start recognizing, I am anger and I can actually let it come in rather than reject it, then my whole body maybe gets hot and feels intensely burning, and I just give it space. And then anger itself becomes vitality. So the transformation, the form that anger takes when it's repressed, it takes the form of violence. When it is absorbed, and here the heart is very helpful, then it becomes vitality, and it becomes compassion to everyone else who is angry. You know? So, it's a beautiful concept. The trouble is I don't even like the word mindfulness, because it's either mind emptiness or no mind. Mindfulness, we already have a full mind.
But also this idea of collapse or transformation doesn't quite sit right here, because it's almost like for transformation to really occur, collapse has to happen.
Yeah, call it collapse or falling into the abyss or total let go or surrender. No? There's many words to it.
Yeah.
And it's like the idea that there's a choice, that you can choose transformation or collapse.
There was another one or two thrown in there. I was trying to give the simple version.
Yeah.
Perhaps I shouldn't have.
No, I think it's beautiful, no? That these conferences are happening, and we all started somewhere where we, and maybe we're still there, where we do want to choose happiness versus sadness, but ultimately it's a complete illusion. No?
Your comment about that problematic word mindfulness, if I can say that.
Yeah.
Accords with the keynote address. In fact, the guy said, whenever I am teaching on the subject, I always start off with the concept of mindlessness.
Yeah, good. Very good.
So he's on the same page as you.
Very good. So that was the transformation, and what was the second one? I can't remember.
Transformation was the word of particular interest to me.
And the second was compassion.
And compassion kept on coming up again and again. Mm-hmm. Compassion as distinguished from empathy, and the need that we all have to make that distinction, because it's a very clear one. Different areas of the brain are involved, etc., etc. But I won't bore you with that. I'll tell you about that over coffee.
Okay, we do that. Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Yeah. Well, compassion is it's also something that is interesting, because it's a beautiful ideal, but what is true compassion? For me, it's being the space for whatever is, and then if you can hold the space for somebody else, rather than having a bleeding heart when somebody is miserable, hold them in their misery. When somebody is sad, hold them in their sadness. When somebody is upset, hold them in the upsetness. That I see as compassion, not a bleeding heart or an overbearing motherly caring that smothers the emotional expression so that the carer doesn't need to feel his own pain. No? So empathy, for me, empathy is, I think all of us who work with people, we probably started with empathy. You started to feel what the other person feels, and then you started to suffer what the other person suffers. No? And there Osho was a very big help for me, because when I was running primal courses, I got sick after every course because I felt all the traumas that all these poor little kids went through. And it's all an old story of the past. And somebody had asked Osho, because I didn't dare, and thanks God, and he answered something very beautiful. He said, it's a beautiful quality we have, if we have empathy, to feel with somebody, but there's still somebody there. If you receive the person, which is again the Atisha meditation, if you absorb the person's feelings and sufferings and let them through and let them be held in the space, then you don't need to do anything. That holding turns the misery into blessings. And how that is then experienced in the person that was suffering is not your business. It's theirs. It's a simplified version of what I often teach in the counseling from the heart training. Well, how to really be with someone, be with people that go through stuff. And again, there's different levels according to where we are in our development. When I needed to work on my anger, all my groups were about anger. When I needed to work on my sexuality, all the groups were around sexuality. When I needed to work on my trauma and hurt, all my groups were about trauma and hurt. So now it's about mindlessness. And it doesn't mean one is better than the other. It's more a collective dance. Shall we do a little Atisha, just to deepen the evening and also kind of allow that, what we call compassion, to flow back into the world. So for those of you who are listening and who haven't done the Atisha meditation, I'm going to guide us all together. It's very, very simple. It's basically the principle we've been talking about. So you can close your eyes and go in. And whatever has been touched through the talk, just bring your whole attention to the heart. And there we can remember, the situation that wherever our attention goes is where our energy flows. So on that level, to a certain extent, we are responsible for where our attention goes. When our attention habitually goes into our suffering, our energy flows into suffering and increases the suffering. Now, bring your whole attention to your heart center. And feel your heart and allow what is here, and perhaps the heart feels heavy and sad and open and hurting, or it feels warm and open. So don't choose, just allow whatever the feeling is, whatever the sensation is. And just resting with your attention with the heart, you can feel how each in-breath is like an expansion of the experience of this moment. And each out-breath is a letting go. deeper than this experience. So expanding choicelessly, whatever is here, if it's pain or if it's joy. And in the out-breath, falling in to the heart. And latest here we can naturally discover that the heart is actually an opening. On the surface, it's the feeling side of the being. We have a lot of feelings through the heart. And deeper it is a space. And as we allow each out-breath to take us deeper, it's like we melt through all these different layers of our personality. We melt deeper than our thoughts and beliefs. We melt deeper than all our shoulds and ideals. We melt deeper than all our protective strategies. We melt deeper than all emotions. And deeper than all body sensations. And deeper than the breath. And deeper than all experience. In the moment we melt deeper than all experience, there's only space. Infinite, open, limitless, beginningless, endless space. And that simple recognition, that space has so many names. It's called God or presence or existence or true self or whatever you like to call it. It has no name. As we found it melting deeper than all experience, we can invite into the heart any suffering that you're aware of right now. Whatever it is, maybe there's some old pain or a story that has affected you or triggered you. And you can allow it to ride on the in-breath, flow through the heart, and dissolve in the inner space, in the inner sky. Just like clouds dissolve on a sunny day. And then the out-breath can carry the blessings of peace, the blessings of compassion, the blessings of healing back into your own body-mind. The Buddha already said, love yourself and watch. So any suffering, any guilt, any shame, any jealousy, any anger, any hate, let it ride on the in-breath and enter the heart, flow through the heart, and dissolve in the empty sky. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of silence, of peace, of healing back into the body-mind. If there's any pain in your body, any hurt or any illness, you can absorb it, let it ride on the in-breath, let it flow through the heart. Don't hold it in the heart, let it flow right through until it dissolves in the inner sky. And the out-breath carrying the blessings of peace, of healing, of love, of compassion into the body-mind. Now, as you do this meditation more often, you can get very easily accustomed to this possibility. It's very helpful to do this meditation in the evening after a full day, and you can absorb any so-called negative experiences into the heart and breathing out blessings. And then when you feel familiar with that, if you feel ready, you can extend the heart to friends, to family, to people close to you. Any suffering you may be aware of, you can invite into your heart. Let it flow through the heart and dissolve in the inner sky. There's only one sky to fly in. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of compassion, of healing, of peace, back to the friends and family. Breathing in your friends, your family's sufferings, struggles, pains, riding on the in-breath, flowing through the heart, dissolving in the empty sky. Breathing out blessings, peace, healing, love. And a few deep breaths, absorbing anything that you may be aware of, where your friends and family is suffering. And breathing out blessings. And if we are familiar with that, this is a very beautiful, beautiful way to support the people that are close to us. Then we can extend the heart to all beings, because the whole world, all beings are family. We are all the flowering of one consciousness. So you can allow the suffering of all beings. There's so much suffering, so much misunderstanding. Let it flow like a stream into your heart, flow through the heart, and dissolve in the inner empty sky. Just like even the thickest clouds dissolve on a sunny day. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of peace. of healing, of silence, back to the friends and family, back to all beings, breathing in suffering, breathing out blessings. Just feel how the blessings of your heart are like a wave surrounding the whole planet and touching all beings. Breathing in suffering, fear, anger, violence. Breathing out blessings. Maybe 3 more, very deep breath. Don't hold anything anywhere. Let it flow right through. And breathing out a wave, a breeze of compassion, of healing, of love to all beings. And one last deep breath, absorbing all suffering and showering the world and all beings with your blessings, your love, your care. May all beings recognize their true nature. May all beings be free of suffering, be free of fear. May all beings remember themselves as love and peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Yes. Thank you. So take that with you, and if you like, when you sit in your bed and you go through the day and you look at all the miserable moments, if you had some, absorb them and let them be finished, and then you go to sleep. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you for being here. And I think, I don't know how the rules are in the moment, but we can have more and more friends coming, so if you want to invite your friends, as long as I'm still here, we have satsang every Friday evening.
If you put a poker machine in here, you can have 500 apparently.
If we call it a church, we can have 50.
Poker machine, 500.
A poker machine. Very good.
With social distancing.
Yeah. Mm.
Thank you. It was really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you around the world, and be well.